So the first thing that we're going to do is start in a kneeling position, or you can come to a seated position. And you want to sit up nice and tall, and we're just going to do some neck erector strengtheners, because a lot of times when we're working on a computer or sitting a lot, we start to get our head coming forward, our neck jutting forward, and then our shoulders start to slump over. And so this will help to strengthen our neck so that our shoulder muscles can start to loosen a little bit, because they're not working as hard to hold our neck in place. So you're going to sit up nice and tall, and then you're going to take your chin and slide it back like you're making yourself have a double chin. And then as if you had a wall behind your head, you're trying to press the back of your head into it, as well as bringing your chin in toward your neck. And so you're really pressing back and just feeling the muscles through the back of the neck, and you might even feel it on the sides and the front working. And then release. And just be mindful that you don't end up arching your back a little bit and bringing the shoulder blades toward each other. Try to soften the shoulders, and then just bring the chin in, press the back of the head back, and gently release. So doing some of those exercises throughout the day will help to strengthen those neck erector muscles, which will sort of combat that tendency to jet the chin out. So there's that. And then we're also going to come into a seated cat-cow. So you're going to bring your hands to your knees. And again, you can do this in a seated position with your legs crossed. So or you can be in that kneeling position. Bring your hands to your knees. And then without rounding the shoulders too much, press your hands into your knees, and then just start to press your upper back behind you. And really feel those muscles working. So you're really rounding here through that upper back, bringing your belly button in toward your spine, and gently release. Good. Now take that seated cat again, rounding here through the back, and release. And on the release, you can add that seated cow if you like, by just pressing your chest forward, just to kind of counter that work that you're doing. We'll do one more. So really press the upper back, the thoracic spine, back behind you, pressing into your hands. Good. Now gently release. Maybe take that seated cow, pressing the chest forward. Good. And gently release. Now we're going to come down onto our back, and keeping your knees bent, you want to have your heels so that they're right in line with your hips. Release your arms down by your sides. And just take a moment here just to relax your torso. So with the torso relaxed, you should be able to feel your hands slide basically right underneath the low back here, just because of that natural curve there in the spine. So once you have that, now start to tilt your pelvic bone up and toward your face a bit as you bring that low back down toward the earth. So you're really trying to press your low back against the earth, so much so that if you tried to slide your hand through, you couldn't do it. Good. Now gently release and try again. So pull the belly button toward your spine as you're doing this. Press the low back up against the earth and gently release. Now notice if you're holding any tension here through your shoulders. Do that one more time. So start to tuck the pelvic bone or your tailbone and press the low back into the earth. So here you should feel your transverse abdominis. So that's that very deep abs. They're kind of like a corset, and they hold your body together. They wrap from the sides around the front. And so sometimes it's very hard to feel this activate. And so I find doing this in the lying position really helps. So now gently release, and then start to bring your knees in toward your chest, maybe rock a little bit from side to side just to release any last bit of tension. And then you can either roll over to one side to come up to a seat, or hold onto your knees and just start rocking yourself back and forth along your spine. It's a nice little massage until you come up to a seated position, and then come into your tabletop pose, or hands and knees. Hands are our wrists are right underneath your shoulders, knees in line with your hips. And then we're going to move through some of those cat poses. So we're going to skip the cow at this point. So you should have somewhat neutral spine here. You should be very aware of your core, or I would think you would be, just from those few lying core activations or transverse abdominis activations. So here, you want to press into your hands and then start to tuck your tailbone. So very similar to when you were on your back, pressing your low back and your thoracic spine up toward the sky. Really press into the earth with your hands, with your knees, and gently release. Good. Now on your next exhale, round through your back, bring your chin toward your chest, and release. Good. One more time. Gently rounding here through the back. And come back to your tabletop position. And then we're going to come into a standing position. So you can get there however you like. I'm going to curl my toes under and press up through downward facing dog. But if you want, you can just come up through your tabletop, come to standing. And now I'm going to step my feet forward toward my hands, come into a little forward fold. So if you're already standing, if you want to come into your forward fold, release through the crown of the head, your neck. Just take a little breath here, stretching through the back of the legs. A lot of times if we have a tight low back, it could also be related to tight hamstrings or backs of the legs. Good. Now put a bend in your knees and start to roll yourself up to standing. And then I'm going to turn and face you, but you can stay at the top of your mat. Your feet are hip distance apart. Now take your arms out to the sides, and we're just going to do some movement here with the thoracic spine. So you're just trying to move this upper part of the torso rather than through the hips. So try to keep your hips nice and solid, gentle engagement here through your core. Reach the arms, and then on your exhale, start to reach out through your right fingertips, reaching the torso or your rib cage over to the right. Good. Come back through the center. So it's a very small movement. Now go to the left. Come back through the center. Good. One more time each side. Actually, we'll do it 2 more times each side. Yeah, good. Now really try to keep your hips nice and steady. Last one. I have a little bit of movement there in my hips. It's kind of hard to keep them still. Good. Now come back to the center. Now bring your arms forward and front. I'm just going to turn a little bit to the side so that you can see. Try to keep your torso nice and still, your pelvis, your hips, and then your mid-torso. And now we're just going to rotate with the thoracic spine. So notice how my hips are staying in the same position, and it's, again, really small. So maybe your movement is a little bit less, maybe it's a little bit more. It just depends on how open your thoracic spine is, that upper part of the back. Well, we're going to do it one more time. So start to twist and come back to the center. Now be mindful of how far you're twisting. Just take note of that. Good. So we're going to release that. So you're going to continue to hold a nice neutral hips here. Release the arms down by your side, and we're just going to do a side bend. So with this first side bend, you're going to take the right fingertips down up until that point where you start to feel the stretch there through the left side, and then bring your left shoulder down just a bit and see if you can deepen that stretch. You might feel it a little bit through the low back and maybe up into that thoracic spine. Good. Come back to the center. We'll do it to the other side. So start to lean over to the left. Once you come to that point where you start to really feel that stretch, then bring that shoulder down just a little bit. Maybe that deepens it. Go ahead. Now just come back to the center. Now this time we're going to do it one more time each side, but this time instead of bringing the shoulder down, we're going to open up that shoulder. Start to tilt over to the right. Once you get to that point where you need to, or feel like you need to stop, start to rotate your chest up. Good. Gently come back to the center. Now we'll do it to the other side. So start to rotate, or side bend over to the left. Once you come to that point where you feel like you need to stop, start to rotate through that thoracic spine, opening the heart up. Good. Gently come back through the center. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.